No. All right. And we were discussing the fall, and we were discussing the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil as well, right? Yeah. I believe we got through all of that, didn't we? Or did we not? We did. All right. And how man was um how the access to the tree of life was taken away, right? But then we know that we were I think we went to, was it Revelation we went to, and we see that the tree of life is mentioned again. So we have access to the eternal life uh, due to Christ's sacrifice. All right. So so that was from the beginning. That was part of God's design, right? So we see that. All right. So let's move on. We're still in Genesis. Let's see. So what, before we go to Genesis, let's go to Isaiah 45 and 18. Someone please read that. And then from there we'll go back to Genesis. Someone have it?
For thus says the Lord who created the heaven, he is the God who formed the earth and made it. He established it and did not create it with the waste place, but formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is none else.
All right. So he created the heavens, he formed the earth, and why did he create it? Or why did so he created it and he established it, excuse me, but he did not create it for what? A waste place, okay? Okay. But he formed it to be, well, he created it to be inhabited. Okay. So by these things he had in mind for for man to inhabit the earth, right? Yeah. So everything he put here was in place for man. Yes. Yes. All right. So if we go back to the, I guess, the Garden of Eden, I guess we can kind of look at that, how everything was provided right there in the garden for Adam and Eve, And so but the earth itself, everything is provided for us, which is why we're still living here today. Everything is here on this earth that we need in order for us to survive. All the food we need, all the materials. We've developed all kinds of things, right? They build cars and all that. From you know, somehow they dig in the ground and pull up some stuff, and make concrete and steel and all kind of stuff, don't they? To build things, and they, you know, they they grow food, but they also grow cotton and things of that nature to make clothing. They take the trees and saw them up into planks and all that and build shelter, right? So all these things come from the earth, right? They're not just produced because God snapped his fingers, yes, probably. But man can't snap his fingers and develop all these things, right? So so everything was developed, everything was put here on this earth for man to to be able to use, and he rules over the earth, right? Of course. The animals are here, some for food. We saw how God clothed Adam and Eve with skin. And of course there are some clothes made from animals and things of that nature, right? Uh,
And
they
I
got.
thought that was interesting, man.
Hmm.
When you look at chapter 2, and it said that they were naked and they wasn't ashamed.
Uh-huh.
But they went cold either. They went hot. So God had the thermostat dialed in, so even though they didn't have nothing on, it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Um, and that's kind of going to go to where we're kind of going in a little bit. Um, a little bit, Brother Battle. We talk about the cold and the hot and the different seasons. All right, so Earth was created to be inhabited. It had food, like I said, shelter, aesthetic beauty. We talked about that. Trees that were pleasing to the sight, right? Not just the trees that bear fruit to eat. Um, he created something for man to enjoy. Um, and of course he put man in charge to rule over the earth, over the birds of the sky and the fish in the sea and whatnot. All right. But it all was part of his design, all part of his purpose. He thought that thing through better than James Hall be thinking stuff through when he parked in the wrong place yesterday. All right, all right, all right. So let's go back to Genesis now. Let's read chapter 1, verses 3 through 5. Someone, please. Genesis is the first. Oh, y'all know that? Oh, okay, okay, okay. First, the first book, the first chapter, and we'll read verses 3 through 5, please.
God said, "Let there be light." There was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good. God divided the light from the darkness, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day.
All right, all right. Hmm. So God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Hmm. I thought what's his name that invented the light bulb?
Yes.
Edison. Yeah, I thought Thomas Edison invented light. No? Okay, 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 okay. The light bulb, but not light. All right. So, all right, all right. I got a question, but I'm kind of hold it. I'm kind of hold it. Um, called the light day and the darkness he called night. So I guess from that we can assume that there was darkness all over because he created light, right? But it didn't say he created darkness, did he? So he created light to separate it from the darkness. So if we look at light and dark, or light and darkness, um, can that be, I guess, a metaphor for something there? If we look at the darkness was always present, but the light had to be created. No? Does that say anything to you all? What is what is the metaphor for darkness? When we talk about this world, there's darkness in this world, right? Good and evil, right? Light is the good, dark is the evil.
I think this is Jane Hall 101. At the time, darkness was hiding a lot of things. So if you're talking about metaphor, I think it falls in that line because a lot of stuff can get hid in the dark. But when you put light to it, it reveals it.
Mhm.
So, but he said darkness hovered over the earth. So he said, let there be light. So whatever was there became visible to the eyes.
Okay, okay, okay. That indeed was a Jamesism. James Hall 101. Got a hand in the back there, Brother Battle.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I know I had been in, so I don't know what
You
y'all
good?
talking about.
You
But
good?
metaphor for darkness I feel, can be anything. I mean, something as simple as a storm. But we say storm in our lives. So what does that represent, or whatever? What are we saying? So storm, metaphor for the rough times or whatever. So
Hmm.
the unknown, I feel, is a metaphor for uh, darkness.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, people say, yeah, they're in the dark. They're in the dark. They don't understand. They're in the dark. A lot of people say that, don't they? Yeah, yeah. So, but as we look back and we see that when you go back up to verse 2, the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. So if let's say darkness is evil, darkness is, or even the unknown, you know, so does that could that be, this world even today, darkness is all around, and we need the light to come in to drive out the darkness. We need light to, people need to be enlightened. Those that don't know God, they need to be enlightened. So I don't know. It's just I just thought that was interesting that darkness existed, but light didn't at this time. At this time. But then of course God said, uh, "Let there be light." All right. Let's go down a little bit. We're still in chapter 1 there, Genesis. Read verses 14 through 19. Someone, please.
And God said, let there be light in the expanse of the heaven to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heaven, to give light on the earth. And it was so.
Okay. All right. So, in fact, go back and read verse 13 too, before that. What did it say?
There was evening and there was morning, a third day.
Okay. All right. So, and then um, God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens. Okay. So, there are those who say, well, the sun gives light, right? So they think light is created from the sun. So from this, would you say the same thing from this? Or the stars? Would y'all say light was created from them?
Not from this. It don't say that from this.
What's it say?
Hmm? Like I say, when you went back 13, it said there was evening, there was morning, a third day.
Mm-hmm.
Then it said God said, let there be lights.
Right, right, right. So he did on the third day, and then on 19, the last thing he read there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. So basically that next day was when. All right. So light was created when he said it, and that was what? That was day one, right? But the sun and the stars and the moon, they weren't developed until third or fourth day, right? So so light wasn't created from them, then was it? Light came from where? Ah, there you go. All right, all right, all right. What was that? Yeah,
I said, well, the song says that he's the light and him in no dark.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So I just thought that was very, very, very interesting. Um, so so how is this part of his design, right? Um, so let's take days and nights. All right, on I want y'all to go back a few years there, science class and all this kind of stuff. Y'all was so how do you have days and nights? It's the daytime right now. All right, and it's winter time right now too, right? I guess well, winter may not come to the 21st, but it's cold outside. All right, so what is how does this happen? Practically, literally, how does it happen? The Earth is what? Earth's going around the sun, right? It's tilted on its axis. Y'all remember that? Y'all used to say tilted on its. I didn't know what tilted on its axis mean, but I can get an answer. Okay, tilted on its axis. It's right there. All right, so the Earth is tilted on its axis, and it's spinning every day, right? It's spinning. Take how long it take for it to spin?
365.
Well, no, for the Earth itself to spin, 24 hours, right? So the Earth is spinning, and as it's spinning, let's just say this is the sun. It's going around the sun, like this. Now it's closer in some places and it's further away in some places, right? It's not a perfect circle around it. It's kind of oval shape, right? Okay. So and it's tilted, so one way or the other. Okay. So there are times where depends on where you are on the Earth, whatever. the hemispheres or whatever, right? Northern, southern hemisphere, whatever. Sometimes you tilt it closer to the sun, sometimes you tilt it further away, depends on where you are in that, as it's spinning, right, and going around. All right. So, and because of that, you have what, the seasons. There you go. Oh man, never paid attention to science class. So you have the seasons, right? So you have the spring and summer and fall and winter, right? So some days are warmer, some days are colder, some days are longer, some days are shorter, right? Or whatever. And that all depends on, how close you are or as far as the axis, how you tilt it there and and access to the sun. Okay, so I guess we all agree that God created this, right? Okay, so why? Why did he do all that? He created the sun, created the stars, so he had light and darkness. Why did there need to be light for part of a day and dark for part of a day? Why do you need to have springtime versus wintertime? Why couldn't it just be moderate temperature all the time? I mean, I don't know. Like you mentioned the Adam and Eve being naked, and they weren't cold. Didn't talk about it being cold. Didn't talk about it being hot. Didn't talk about them getting sunburnt and none of that stuff, right? But so was the temperature moderate at the time? Don't know. Whatever could have been, could not have been. But we know now what we have are these seasons where it's colder and warmer. Depends on where you are on the earth. Depends on what time of year it is and all this. So why? Why is all this? What's does it mean anything?
Well, he said on here for signs for the season and the days, and that's for us to count.
Hmm.
And then I went over Bible study with the kids. If you go back to 12, the earth produced vegetation, plants yielding seeds according to their kind, and trees and bearing. When I was teaching to them, since I do gardening, I explained to them that some seeds don't germinate unless it is cold. They need cold stratification in order for them to come about. So you have food that will be able to eat while it's cold.
Okay.
So that's something to think about with the food and all that kind of stuff when you
Okay.
create that.
Okay. Gotcha. But if you never had cold, you don't have to worry about eating food when you're cold. So why do we have cold? Why do we have hot? Why do we have different seasons? Got a hand in the back.
Maybe something simple that we don't think about. I get on to one of my brothers. I'm not gonna say a lot, but he eat all the time. He feels like he need to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and everything in between. I don't agree. Everything need to rest. So the seasons, the night, the day, it's time for stuff to rest. Nothing just can't. You gotta rejuvenate, so to speak. So James, if you don't give your digestive system time to rest, it's gonna, start acting up.
Get rest in between.
All right. Good answer. I like that. And anybody want to add on to that?
I don't know if this is right, but under Ecclesiastes
Okay.
3, where it talks about a time for everything, does that go along with it?
Yeah. Well, everything goes along with everything, I guess. But yeah.
And
So what?
the first verse says there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens.
Okay. There's a time and a season. So why? Why?
I make it simple. That was his design from the very beginning. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew his people. He knew what he was going to do. So I think it's that design from the very beginning because he was going to have so many different people. So when you're dealing with different people, you're going to have different attitude, different DNA. So I think everything that he did because of his people, which we're all his people, but we are different. We live on different sides of the world.
Okay.
So that just from the beginning, it's a design from the beginning, but what's happening to happen.
Okay. I was trying to follow you there, James. I was I'm tagging along with you a little bit, holding on to
But
it.
you gotta
Okay.
remember,
Okay.
everything that's in us is the same as in him. Our DNA is his DNA.
Okay.
So that's why I said from the very beginning, his design was for it to be because he knew his people was gonna be different.
So we're the same, but we're different. So,
Okay, so if you stay in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, go down to verse 9
uh-uh.
through 14, is what James is saying. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all of their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing can be taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him.
Okay. So you're agreeing with James with that? What you're saying is what James was saying, based kind of along the same lines there. Okay. That book right there, huh? Okay. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? So what I'm hearing is that okay, he did these things because it was his divine plan. He designed it that way, right? So that's your answer. Okay. So, but my question is why? I'm not arguing the fact that he did it. Yeah, he did. We agree. He did do that. We have established that. So why?
He knew his people.
So he did it because he knew his people.
I'm saying for his glory.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Bro, teacher, you tell us.
I don't know. I'm asking you. I want you to think.
You don't disagree with me.
You've probably been told this before. I don't know. I'm just
I
gonna
want to
guess.
hear what you guys say.
Okay.
Yeah, we ain't got nothing.
Y'all have anything else? All right. So, you know, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with y'all at all. Okay. I mean, yes, he knows his people. He knows his. He knew we would be here today, right here, discussing this, right?
The heart of his people.
Yes. So he felt the need, or at least I feel as if he felt the need to create some kind of order, to create um, a rhythm, so to speak. You know, you needed to have, like I say, day and then night, day and night, day and night. You know, to to because you would now there'd be some people like RL. If you had daytime all the time, he'd probably work all the time, wouldn't he? He'd work 24 hours a day. Nah, some people. Well, yeah, that's right. He work in the dark now, as it is. But you know, I think God wanted to create, a rhythm where okay, this is a time for this, as she read. There's a time for rest, which I think he said that rest, which he don't know what rest means, but he said that by himself about there's a time for rest, you know. And I think God wanted us to experience that, you know. What did you say? It was the earth was built for all its beauty, you know. He didn't want us to just toil all the time. He wanted us to kind of rest and enjoy, the fruit of our labor, so to speak. Yes, sir.
Couldn't it be also if there was no change in anything, if everything was the same all the time, what happens? If everything's the same thing all the time, 24/7, 365 days, or sometimes 366, what would the world be like? Right, God is.
I don't know, Jay. Tell me.
But
Oh, what you told
even
me.
in God's DNA, that's what I'm saying. That his DNA
Mhm.
is all these things that we're talking about. The change of the seasons, the change of this. That's all in his DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically created himself in everything.
Hmm. Hmm. Created himself and everything. Go deeper. Go deeper.
Can you believe that time? Yeah.
Got a hand in the back by that too.
Man, I don't think it's fair for us to mix like what Adrian read and what James stated. Um, I don't think we can put those together because if you're talking about toil, we didn't have to do this until after the guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were supposed to do 365 every day, same thing, same thing. It wasn't supposed to be. We didn't know. You know,
Everything.
they didn't know.
Everything was provided for us. Wasn't it?
Exactly. So
But he knew he was gonna do that.
did God know?
God knew about the serpent.
God knew about the serpent.
Yeah, he knew he was gonna mess up.
I don't think so. We say God knows everything. I know that. But I think from the original, what it don't make sense to me. And that's one that I just personally battle with. I'm not gonna say that God knew that we was gonna fall.
If he didn't know we were gonna fall, why were from the beginning was there talk about Jesus being on the cross?
Yeah. See, and that's kind of what you missed, Ariel. The past couple of weeks we talked about the fall and how Adam and Eve clothed themselves with fig leaves, right? But those fig leaves were inadequate, and so God clothed them with animal skin. So of course he had to something had to be sacrificed, something had to die, so that they could be clothed first. And so Christ died for us in that same way. And so that's the connection that we were making. So I would say it was part of his design plan for the fall. He knew it would happen, because he knows everything, of course, but 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 his design plan was put in place then for Christ, for us to be clothed in Christ.
Okay, but he didn't put his plan together to after the fall, right?
I would say he designed it from the beginning. I said, okay, and the reason, okay, another reason I'll say that, and of course, I'm probably wrong, but I'll say it anyway. All right, so he put the tree of knowledge of good and evil there, right, in order to give them a choice, right? So, it's kind of like, we spoke, I guess, weeks, months ago about Judas. He said, well, he did what God had planned for him to do. He had to betray Christ. That was part of the plan. You know, so I think the
He let
cho-
him betray Christ, or he gave him the option. Because
Judas.
yeah.
Okay, he had the option to betray him or not, but he knew that he would because it was part of his plan. And so he put the choice there for the good and evil, the tree of good and evil. He told them not to, but he knew that they eventually would.
But they would actually eat of the tree.
I believe so. I believe so.
Why would God not know that?
Why would
I mean,
business
I'm
plan
asking-
for it to fail?
Aria,
That don't make sense.
why would God not know what's gonna happen? If he knows every hair that's on our head,
Why would you bring chaos to yourself? Answer
He's
that
not bringing
question.
it.
Okay.
Huh?
he's not bringing it. He's allowing us.
Okay. I don't agree. I'm sorry.
He wanted us to have. He wanted us to have the choice. Okay. All right. Eh,
Free will, bro.
I understand your point too. I can say, why would he even create this in the first place? Why didn't he just create all of us perfect and not even create anything evil? But he put that tree there from the beginning, from the very beginning,
I think
for the
it's one of those
choice,
things where
because
he
he
gives us
knew.
choices, but he's got every one of our choices already mapped where it's gonna take you. And in each one of those choices, his plan is still gonna work. So you may take 19 to go to Atlanta. Okay, you got to go through all the little towns. You can get on 75 and go to Atlanta. You can go to 85. And I think the way his wheel works is you got a choice about what way you go. But he's already got, when you pick that choice, he's already got it mapped out.
Okay. Yes.
Free will
All right.
causes chaos.
All right. So yes, the free will did cause chaos, but I think he wanted us. He wanted Jesus to redeem us. That was part of his plan from the beginning. In the beginning was the Word. Word became flesh. So that was his plan from the beginning for us to be redeemed. Now, how will we ever be redeemed if we didn't have a reason to be redeemed? If we never fail. So if the fall didn't happen, there wouldn't have been no need for redemption.
Define the beginning. What's the beginning? The beginning of the fall or the beginning of creation?
In the beginning. In the beginning. you know. Yeah. But it's good. It's a good discussion. Very good discussion. But like I said, even in the fall, but like I said, his plan, did it come about after the fall, or was it his plan before the fall? That's what you're saying. And that's a very good question. Very good question. We need to do some more research on that. Got a hand in the back lately.
Hey, we could define beginning by going back to Genesis when he said, "Let us make man." Then we see that the spirit hovered over the water. So he was there in the beginning. They all was there in the beginning. So I was saying, yeah, Jesus was there and that plan was there from the beginning.
Yeah. All right. All right. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? So you're saying Jesus was there then? Good. Okay. Gotcha. Let us. Gotcha. All right. All right. Damn. Man, we're getting into a good discussion here. Now you pointing to clock.
Follow y'all direction.
All right. So I think we need to dive more into this. You know, when it says in the beginning, when was the beginning? When was the beginning? So let's all do research on that. And let's discuss it more on, I guess, Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. All right. Very good. All right. Thank you. And then we'll get back into the seasons and all that after that. Okay.